YT Productions.
Yeah.
I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, I love it, I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah, man.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson. And you gon' learn today, you gon' learn today how your team they play, how they play, boy. You gon' learn today how your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay, tune into the HBCU Sports Lab.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We got the Whitey Tighties on today, ready to get out there, represent for Charles as he knuckles if you buck on the golf course. I guess that's not quite the language y'all use, but you know what I'm getting at. Welcome to episode 153 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics, and facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is back in the building.
What's up, gentlemen? How you doing today?
Well, Mike, we're good. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KSOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. And let me give a shout out to Roy, our producer. He's back in the building as well. Shout out to what he's doing and all the hard work he's been putting in at facilities. If you don't know, in this case, you should know and you want to know, because we're changing the game over here. Catch up with my BCSN and check us all out. You can get it done, my JVN. Go check us out on Facebook, get an update, go to the website, whatever you need. If you're talking about podcasting, streaming, you got it done right here. Whether it's a remote show or live in studio, we can get it done. Go and check us out. Find a way how you can be down and take the next step, which brings me to the next fishing rod that was out there. And no, he's not going fishing, but we have landed a big recruit. The Carlos Brown is now on the network. Look forward to having him on. We'll give a guest interview to launch his show in a couple of weeks. So stand out. No, he's not going anywhere. We're just finding a way to make sure now, not only can you hear him, but you can actually see him. So taking it up a notch. Kudos to Carlos Brown. As we welcome
Carlos Brown.
Yeah.
To my BCSN. Any words of wisdom to Carlos Brown, Charles?
Yeah, Carlos is looking scout these days. You know, he's camera ready.
No doubt about it, Charles. Mike, you want to say any words of wisdom out there to our colleague Carlos?
Of course not. Every time I see Carlos, he's casket sharp. So we have one more CB in the group now. So now I got to specify which CB I'm referring to.
There you go. It's not like that wise man always figuring it out and all the little things here and there. But with that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THE Agency, LLC. THE Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Today's show will be a good one as we will discuss the latest HBCUs in the news, as well as sports. Coming up, we'll interview Kassandra Ramsey, NIL rights lawyer from Washington, D.C. Get you some insights on that. And then we have Coach Andre Payne, head men's basketball coach of Denmark Technical College. He wanted to share some frameworks on some information that was put out on him that was quite critical, and he'd like to provide an update in his perspective of what took place. And so we certainly provide a vehicle for coaches on various ways to do that. In this case, we provide the vehicle to him to provide his perspective on that. With that going down, I wanted to give a shout out to the University of Virgin Islands. Yes, they've updated the logo. Shout out to the athletic director over there. Really was amazed when he took the job, but he's coming out of COVID big. I have to get my hands on it. You see, yeah, I get my way around to the only only HBCU outside of the continental U.S. Yes, it is in the Caribbean, and that is the University of the Virgin Islands. The Buccaneers, as they call them out there, go Bucks, as they would say. They updated their logo, and it has an homage to many different components of the island and the history there. And I thought they did a great job of calling out that history in so many different ways. I can't wait to get my hands on the shirt from those parts, which means hopefully that it means I have a reason now to get to the Virgin Islands in terms of the university. You know me, Charles, I'm always trying to find a way. And before this summer's out, now that we're making our way through COVID, because COVID has not disappeared for all those out there that don't realize it, let me here to tell you, give me my 50 feet, as they say, as the rap legends in this place, give me my 6 feet. But some of y'all don't believe fat meat grease, and I'm not trying to feel that way. So choice is up to you, but I surely don't want to partake in those that feel like they have the right to spread COVID-19 to those that do not want it. How about that? With that, let me jump in here in a little different perspectives. What's going on? Any thoughts on the logo with Virgin Islands? Let me dig in that a little more. Let me go to you, Mike, because you like to partake in the Caribbeans, because you're a world global traveler. That's why we can't keep you on the studio, because you get it done not just throughout the United States, but literally in the world, as you seeking hopefully VP status shortly as you continue to make moves. Good luck on that. But what are your thoughts about the University of Virgin Islands and the update to the logo?
Yeah, I saw it, not on your shirt, but somewhere else on social media. I like the idea of kind of digging into your heritage and making it a part of your university. I love it. I love the Caribbean, as you say, anyway. And when you can integrate that into the university and put it on the logo, I need to get one. See, I don't have your status. I don't have Charles Bishop status. I gotta buy mine. So I'm trying to get on the order block for one. So, but I definitely yes, that's the one. I like the way they've done it, and they incorporated the history part as well as the cultural aspect, big time. You don't find that with a lot of university shields, insignias. So I love it.
Let me go to you, Charles. I'm gonna let you get in some love. I know you hadn't had the chance to take a formal trip to Caribbean islands with us, but
right.
we're working on that. But I know you are just as much as a traveler yourself. So what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I love it. And like Mike said, they dug into the history, especially when you take a look at the history of pirates and buccaneers within the Caribbean, and that route from there to the Carolinas and things of that nature. So really appreciative that they were able to tap into that history, if you will. So great look for the University of Virgin Islands.
Yeah, and when we talk about the logos, as you're talking about the Buccaneer ship, the sugar mill, we know all of what that stands for, the good, bad, and the ugly for that fact.
Yeah.
It's certainly part of the culture there. And then you also have the Moko Jumbo and the steel band. Those are the sticks. People see the stick people standing up there. That's the Moko Jumbo. From that perspective, they have that in there, that right corner on the seal. But yeah, I just love that. So Roy, I know you're out there working on those contracts. So let's find a way to get in contact with the athletic director of Virgin Islands, because that might be one of the trips that I want to partake in. I have to find a way to make sure that I can shoot the camera, be in front of the camera, whatever you need me to do. When you make that happen, make sure you count me in.
So with that HBCU basketball tournament down there.
yeah. Be quiet.
No doubt.
I wonder about you. I'm working. I work.
Oh, yeah.
It don't stop. before I ask you all some other updates, there's another one that is really hot to me. I want to give major kudos to Livingstone College out of the CIAA, and this is coming from the CIAA.com, to open a state-of-the-art esports complex this fall. And when I say state-of-the-art, I mean state-of-the-art. It will be first HBCU in terms of historically white college universities, in terms of the dynamics of all the things they put together. Esports arena by establishing Livingstone College Athletic Esports Facility. The venue, projected to be completed September 21, will comprise 5 components. Check this out, gentlemen. Competitive esports, simulation golf, iRacing, broadcasting, and abundance of space for social gathering. Upon completion, Livingstone's esports anticipates an active schedule that has already established facilities hosting plans for 100 plus events annually. It's a $1.3 million project. It's done by the Ohio-based Meridian HD to develop this project, designated for students only in one particular sector. The larger off-campus venue will be open to the public as well. There'll be living quarters in here, coaching rooms, social media play, social play stations, 16 competitive gaming stations, pre-game strategy room with the coach. Like we said, the golfing will consist of 2 golf simulation stations and broadcasting centers for 2 iRacing simulation units positioned in the college split room. They also will have esports hotel suites.
Yep.
Wow.
Did you hear me say esports?
Esports hotel suites.
Let me jump right back to you, Charles. What are your thoughts on this, man? This is
so cool.
In my opinion. Kudos to the Livingstone Athletic Director, Lamonte Massey Sampson. Go ahead, Charles.
Oh, this is so cool. I mean, I was a gamer back in college, and I can't imagine having esports back when I was in college. I mean, you talk about the Madden Wars that me and Neely had back in the day, but I mean, for it to expand to this level that we're taking a look at, this is so exciting. And we know esports has taken off, and now HBCUs are partaking in it. And I'm really excited for Livingstone in terms of what they're going to be able to do with this esports program.
No doubt about it. Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
You had me at the hotel suites. I'm like,
yeah,
esports hotel suites. I was excited already. But I think the capper for me, the one that sticks out, is there's also plans to tie this into a student-centered curriculum for STEM. So where they have the education and preparing students, for career opportunities. So not only is this a real cool field of study with a structured curriculum, but they're working on careers for these individuals and tying it into the STEM program. So it's not just one side; it's a multifaceted program. So I'm very excited. Congratulations and kudos to Livingstone.
Certainly, points well made, gentlemen. Let me go back to you, Charles. Some things that you want for us to discuss and think about. What's out there on your plate that you just thought was burning hot news of the day?
Oh, Dr. Bill, we talk about this transfer portal. We've talked about it all spring, but let me tell you.
Somebody's transferred?
Let me tell you the coup that the Howard Bison pulled off today, okay? Howard University announced that today that Nicole Hannah-Jones and Howard alumnus Ta-Nehisi Coates will join the Howard University faculty. Of course, Hannah-Jones is the creator of the 1619 Project. She will be a tenured member of the faculty of the Kathy Hughes School of Communication, filling the newly created Knight Chair in Race and Journalism. And Coates, he is a journalist and author. He will be the faculty member in the flagship College of Arts and Sciences. Hannah-Jones, of course, is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and also found the Center for Journalism and Democracy, which will focus on training and supporting aspiring journalists. She is transferring from UNC Chapel Hill to Howard today. So we're going to put that in a sporting context. Huge news today.
$20 million fund that was produced by 4 individuals that wanted to see this make it happen. As you said, you talking about a transfer portal. That's a hell of a statement in so many different ways. Kudos to Howard University. Kudos to both of those now-be professors. The statement they made in terms of all the things that happened in UAC. And after she was actually granted tenure, finally by the board, writing what many of us, particularly in the academic field and those outside of it, just saw it not making sense writing that, was a little too late in terms of them pushing the wrong direct buttons and Howard got it done. Mike, let me stick with you before we go to this quick break. Any comment that you want to make on that?
No, I was jaw dropping at the amount. So tremendous effort and congratulations to them. First of all, I have nothing to add. I mean, what you just added, the adjectives was a mic drop.
Yeah, no doubt. I was just like amazed about this, what's going on in terms of the way that happened. And it was truly, like you said, Charles, in terms of the transfer portal. You wasn't expecting. You thought everything had settled down in terms of what was going on. Howard was dealing with some other issues as well, obviously. Then they said, well, yeah, we'll deal with that, but we'll also drop this right on you real quick. With that, let's go to our first break. This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We'll be right back after this quick break, and we'll see if we can get into a little more dialogue in terms of NIL and frameworks of that. See if we can get our first guest going. If not, we'll move forward in terms of the second quarter of the show. We'll be right back. Stick with us. Dr. Bill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
They play, how they play, boy, you gon' learn today. How you say they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay, tune into the HBCU.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We are here with our guest, the Esquire coach, Kassandra Ramsey, attorney at law. Kassandra, I should say, Ramsey, excuse me there. To give us a little more insight of this NIL, for those that do not know by now, that's the name, image, and likeness. We talked about it a little bit last week, but we're fascinating in so many different ways that we have the law office of Kassandra Ramsey, is where she practiced. She assists entrepreneurs, athletes, entertainers, and social media influencers in navigating the ins and outs of creating and running businesses and protecting their brands. Not a better time to be in this business. You were ahead of the curve and certainly seen where things were going. So love to get a chance to dig it down. We see that you have the Virginia State out of the CIAA representing there. Tell us a little bit where you're from. Why the Virginia State? I think I know and most of our viewers know, but let's share it for those that may not understand. Representing the Trojans there. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I'm Kassandra Ramsey. Virginia State is my undergrad alma mater, and I went to Howard University School of Law, so I'm a double HBCU grad. I'm originally from Chesapeake, Virginia. I'm still in the DMV area, as going to Howard brought me to the DMV area. Passionate about sports and college sports, and the new rights that college athletes have been given, finally get to get a piece of the pie that they've been given to so many others. So thank you all for having me here today, and I'm excited to get into the topic. Boy,
it's our pleasure to have you. And what a better time to dig into this a little more. So, we have, FAMU announcing their 5-year department-wide partnership with Influencer and Teamworks. Obviously, previous to that, you had North Carolina A&T, Michael Strahan and Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders as Coach Prime out of Jackson State, teaming up with the benefit Jackson State student athletes and more. Give us a framework in terms of why you went into this area. Obviously, you teased out a little bit talking about loving sports, but did you see this coming more than most?
Well, I played AAU basketball. I did the whole circuit, playing at Disney World and everything. I did not play in college, but I understand the sacrifice that it takes to get to be a college athlete. And just understanding that, and then looking at the system when I was in law school, I wrote a paper on why college athletes should get paid. And I just got more and more into it and just saw the injustice. It's just fundamentally unjust that you could take someone's name, image, and likeness and continue to profit off of years after they have graduated or not, and they have nothing. They get a scholarship, but we all know what does that really mean? What degree are they getting? Were they at North Carolina during the time that they had those sham courses, going on? So what does that really mean? So I think I thought that college athletes deserve to get more. And I followed at the time when I wrote my paper was when the O'Bannon case was going on. And I followed that litigation and how that came out, and I started to see that the door was open. So,
no doubt about it. And she cuts it straight, no chaser too. I like this. I'm really getting into it. Let me stick with you, Mike, and let you have a follow-up question.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on as well. And I guess I have a couple of legal questions. I only have 2 years of law school, so I'm not in that mindset yet. But setting legal precedents is very important now. So, how do you envision this to, weigh out? Will it carry more weight at the federal level or at the state level? And then the other part two of that is, do you see schools exploiting this education related term to advance recruiting objectives? This no Lamborghini plays, and you have to define your gifts a certain way. Can you talk to those 2 points, if you will? If you'll allow me to dip into your legal mind?
Sure. So I think to both of those points, we're kind of waiting to see. On the no Lamborghini rule that he's referring to, that came from the case that became known as NCAA versus Alston, that the United States Supreme Court recently gave their ruling in, a 9-0 ruling in favor of college athletes. And just to kind of summarize the case, a former West Virginia football player sued the NCAA and its conferences, arguing that their amateurism rules violated federal antitrust law. So basically, they were arguing that their rules capping college athletes to a cost of attendance scholarship was restricting the market on what college athletes could actually make. And as we've seen just in these few short days since we've had NIL, it was certainly restricting the market. And what the district court did and the appeals court affirmed was they said that there was a way that the NCAA could accomplish its goal of preserving amateurism while not being so restrictive. And they said that the NCAA could continue to limit non-education related benefits, which would amount to pay for play, but they could no longer limit education related benefits. To your point, they did give the NCAA the latitude to define what an education related benefit is. And even with the Supreme Court's ruling, the NCAA has that, and that's why the court said that they could make a no Lamborghini rule. So I think we're going to be waiting to see exactly, what the NCAA is going to do as far as defining education related benefits, and they're going to be careful to try to limit their susceptibility to further lawsuits, regarding their rules on what an education related benefit is. As far as how involved the federal government will get with NIL, that's something else that I think we're going to wait to see. We had 2 hearings recently. We had several hearings last year on name, image, and likeness. A big part of it is that some congressmen just want to address NIL. Some want to address health benefits, health and safety, Title IX things, different. When you have issues with sexual assaults on campus, and they want to put all of that into the bill. So that's kind of where we've had a roadblock with getting the federal bill. So I think right now we're just going to continue to see more state laws, and for those who are in states that don't have a state law, we're going to just continue to see more schools creating their own policies.
Thank you very much.
Let me jump over you, Charles. I see you have that complex look and you're ready to go and chop this up. Have multiple questions, but let's just start with one, Charles.
Sure. Well, I take a look at it.
That was a shot.
I take a look at it from this standpoint. We've never not seen government oversight in terms of trying to police something. And right now, we're taking a look at no parameters with regards to NIL. My question is, do you think where this thing is going, that states or from a political standpoint, states might take a look at taxing student athletes with regards to whatever monetary benefits they receive?
Well, I mean, they're gonna have, state. They're gonna have to pay taxes, right? So what name, image, and likeness is really third parties that are gonna give these monetary opportunities to the athletes. So one thing that when I do talk to athletes, I tell them, hey, look to see if they're saying that you're an independent contractor. If they're saying you're an independent contractor, you need to make sure that you are getting your 1099 and making sure that you're asking the right questions as far as taxes goes. What we'll see the states do, I'm not really sure how far they'll go with it, especially, like for state-run schools, because they don't, the NCAA's biggest thing is that college athletes aren't employees. So if you're not an employee, then why would the state come for you for taxes, or the school come for you for taxes if you're not employed? So I think right now the crux of the tax thing, they're going to take their direction from whoever they get their endorsement with.
I see you, Charles. Go ahead, shoot it back again. I let Mike in too. I'm gonna let you get your other one. I'm just
well, it's an interesting question in terms of how will they define the student athletes? Do you see a direction where eventually they're just going to have to call them employees?
I think before they do that, I think that they may be open to creating some type of, I'm gonna say union, for lack of a better word, just so we're all on the same page, but they're not gonna call it a union, right? Because then that also has an employment connotation. But then we had Senator Chris Murphy and I believe Bernie Sanders that introduced the College Athletes Right to Organize Act, where it's calling for a union or some type of organization, whether it's a trade association, that gives college athletes the ability to collectively bargain, if you will. Now the NCAA craft all kinds of words to not call it what it is, the same way that they crafted student athletes to not call it what it is. But it'll be somewhere along those lines.
I see why you have a thriving business. I really like the way you get in there and you're able to jab, mix, but give important information. Let's take it back a little bit. Obviously, you heard about some teams being able to get deals as a whole team. Blew a lot of people away when you talk about Percy Miller, the son of hip hop mogul Master P, and he signed a deal worth $2 million. Give us a little bit about your expertise and how you can help athletes navigate the space, and why people and families should consider you and come to you. And as you do that, give you information.
Yeah, definitely. I'm an attorney and I work with helping people start business and protect their brands with intellectual property and things of that nature. And even a few days before NIL came down, we saw athletes announcing their trademarks and their logos. I can help you make sure that you maintain ownership of that you, before you get too deep into building a brand around the name, make sure that name is actually available to you for you to use. I can help you understand the state laws and the policies at your school to make sure that you're compliant, especially because one thing that isn't really talked about, hasn't been gotten into too far yet, is the effects on this for high school athletes that are looking to go to college, right? So this is going to be for current college athletes. So you want to make sure while you're in high school that you're not doing anything that could make you ineligible for high school athletics. So you can find me on Instagram at _Esquire coach. And you can find my website. It's www.KassandraRamseyLegal.com. You can reach out to me on any one of those platforms. I also have a YouTube channel that's called College Athletes and Business, where I'm starting to discuss some of these things, like what do you need to know about trademarks. I explain what name, image, and likeness is. So those are the ways that you can get in contact with me and things that I can assist with.
Charles, you have a quick one in there? You got a little 2 minutes.
Yeah, really quick question is, what would your advice be to athletes right now in regards to protecting their brand? Are there things that they need to do to prepare themselves to look desirable to these companies, or to these third-party companies, I should say?
So one of the biggest avenues for opportunities in this NIL space is going to come via social media. So you want to be intentional about how you use your social media. I know, you guys are young and you're going to want to just, play and have fun on social media, but do understand that you are now a brand, so you want to build your brand, build your platform, engage your followers. And it doesn't have to just be related to your sport. You can show your personality. Like when you go to college, you want to major in finance, talk about financial things, like maybe start a YouTube channel talking about that. Because what companies are going to look for is your following and your engagement. And that's what they're going to use in determining if they want to do a deal with you and how much money you can make from that deal.
No doubt about it.
Thank you.
With that being said, I'm going to take this in two routes. The academic side, we're going to have to bring you back in terms of one of the classes on campus at Texas Southern University to get you in there. We certainly have to keep up with you in the lab. As you know, I don't know if you refer to us, we're not ready to be the entertainment side, social media influence. I think that's being a little nice, but we certainly have the dean and the professors. So with that being said, we have some interest in terms of name, image, and likeness and branding ourselves. So we might have to reach out to you on the professional side and get your legal engagement with us. So one more time, give us the information again of how ourselves or our friends and colleagues out there with children and those interested in terms of their institutions about getting more help. Give us that information again one more time.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at _Esquire coach. And then my website is www.KassandraRamseyLegal.com. My Kassandra is spelled with a K, so I didn't say that the first time.
No, let's get it. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on here, Kassandra, with a K for everybody again. Make sure you like her and subscribe to our pages and all the different social media platforms out there. Let's put her to work. Great information out there, and she's taking care of many different people, including HBCU potential students, athletes in those frameworks, and she's from an HBCU representing. A shout out to Virginia State and Howard that certainly is getting it done in so many different ways. So it was a pleasure having you on, Kassandra. Wish you the best of luck. Love to keep up with you. Certainly will follow you on social media platforms, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kassandra.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're going to take our halftime break. We'll be right back after this. Stick with us with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Hope you enjoyed our interview with Kassandra Ramsey, attorney at law. Kassandra Ramsey, legal attorney at law, getting it done. Thank you. We'll be right back after this quick message.
It was a monumental game for A&M and Tampa. It was a monumental game. Somebody had to lose, and thank God it was them this time.
We knew it was going to be a battle. Look at Jake Aves' record. 202 and 36, I think, some off-the-wall figures.
And nobody would play him because they didn't want to take a chance of getting beat. But the truth of it is,
over 46,000 tickets. Blacks were sitting in the east stands. The whites were sitting in the west stands, and the score wound up 34-28.
The only thing we proved that we wasn't inferior, that we were not inferior, and we were not afraid.
For one night, for 160 minutes, we was better than them.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.
You gon' learn today how your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAG, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay, tune into the HBCU.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Here after halftime, man, that first half, that second quarter, we went in there, name, image, and likeness. A lot of the folks were loving the information that was going there. And in the fourth quarter, somebody put out there a message that was sent in terms of North Carolina Central and Nicole Hannah-Jones. I got to put this out there, representing from Karen Griffin. It's, quote, "It's not my job to heal University of North Carolina," end quote. She said, quote, "That's the job of the people in the power who created the situation in the first place," end quote. I say, all right, I'm jab out the door.
Deuces.
Oh, wow. Man. Oh, man. So, gentlemen, get your thoughts on this. I got to get your thoughts on this. Bethune-Cookman hires ex-NBA star Reggie Theus. We've seen this a little bit on the coaches going in the NBA. Now, Theus has done the coaching at the college, played in NBA a little further back, so his name may not be as fresh to some of the young people. But those that have followed NBA over the years certainly are very aware of Reggie Theus. But with this being said, not only is he going to be the head men's basketball coach, but also the athletic director. He's a former NBA star, so many different ways, taking over Bethune-Cookman University. This is obviously on the hinds of just last week. We talked so much about FAMU, but Bethune-Cookman University is the 12th member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So he's going in as they leave the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Theus replaced Ryan Ritter, Bethune-Cookman's men's basketball conference coach, I should say, that had the coach move the program moving in an upward swing. No doubt he left to go to University of Tennessee Martin. That was back on the 30th. They've been in a coaching search, and this is what they decided the direction they could go. For those that don't know, he is coached previously at New Mexico State from 2005 to 2007, compiling a record of 41-23 record. So he had a winning record, earning one NCAA tournament bid during that time. He was 94-128 while coaching at Cal State Norfolk. The Matadors, he took a job after that, taking a break, coaching there in 2013-2018. But with that being said, he's done some coaching at G League and those kind of things. Let me know your thoughts in terms of what that looks like in terms of Reggie Theus.
Well, I tell you what, it's a little different because you don't see that those dual roles as much anymore with being a head coach in some manner and athletic director. But I tell you what, he's stepping into some huge shoes in terms of filling shoes for Lynn Thompson. So that'll be very interesting to watch with regards to Bethune-Cookman in terms of with all these things going on within the business realm of sports, what Reggie Theus can do for the Bethune-Cookman University.
That's a great point that he does have a lot of business platforms and a lot of experience at a lot of different levels. But I want to stick on that point that you made there a little bit in terms of, Mike, in terms of Theus doing both the men's coaching perspective as well as the athletic directors. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you have a lot of moving parts, and I agree with CB. I don't know if you see that quite as often as, you may have seen it, 10, 15 years ago, maybe. I think he has a prowess. I think he brings name brand recognition, at least to the position. People still recognize Reggie Theus. He has I like the fact he's put in his time as a coach. But I guess the one thing I would want to see is, how he's going to mend all of these moving parts. This is a business he's taking over, and how he's going to grow that business, how he's going to build that valuation profile. He's got some experience. He's been in the NBA. He's got business ventures. So I'd like to see what his plans are to kind of corral all of these moving parts, build that brand, to build that business profile for Bethune in the next 3 to 5 years. So it'll be interesting.
Whoever his number 2 is, and
talk about those business profiles. Go ahead, Charles.
No, I was going to say whoever his number 2 is in that athletic department, they need to be ready to rock, because that's asking an awful lot to be head basketball coach and AD both. To take on both of those roles.
Absolutely,
no doubt about it. Let me stick with you, Charles, a little bit here. What other direction? What else really out there in the news that has you in a lather, or just something that you think we need to discuss?
Yeah, of course, last week you had the Rocket City Mortgage Classic. Willie Mack, a former golfer at Bethune-Cookman, he played in the Rocket City Mortgage Classic, and he was able to place and get a check in that. But the tournament prior to, both in Detroit, where you had Tim O'Neill and Shasta Avery Hard, they participated in the John Shippen Classic, which was an inaugural deal there in Detroit. But you had HBCU presence. You also had individual who was on the bag for one of the contestants in the Rocket City Mortgage Class, who was a Southern alum. So a lot of HBCU representation in that. So I was really proud to see all that going on. And I watched the Rocket City Mortgage Classic this past weekend, came down to a 5-hole sudden death. So it was a lot of fun watching in terms of golf. No doubt about it. Great points when you talk about the golf. Mike, you knew he was going to have to find a way to get some of that golf talk in there. He just
absolutely.
With that, Mike, what news that you have out there that you want to discuss a little bit and get off your chest?
Speaking in the business, along the lines of business, FAMU records its highest performance-based funding score, earns 12.65 investment from the state. Florida A&M scored its highest ever points total under the Florida Board of Governors performance-based funding model. This was care of Twitter. FAMU scored 79, which is up from 73 in 2020. As a result of the score, FAMU anticipates receiving a PBF allocation of 12.65 million. So I was doing my homework. I was trying to, see where it was ranked. I guess they were ranked 117th in the nation in 2020, according to U.S. News and World Report. Amongst the top 100 public universities, I look for that score to go up more in the next coming years, considering, where they are, what they're doing with the program. Of course, going into the SWAC can only help promote that even more. But I found that very interesting.
No doubt about it. Charles, you see that, he comes back in here. He can't get the data analytics because there's no real HBCU sports being played now. So he finds a way to get the data analytics from perspective on the business side. I like this, Mike.
Well, I tell you engineer brains, y'all are different.
No doubt about it. As we start to close this segment and getting ready for our second interview, we'll have Coach Payne coming on here just shortly. But before we go into the break and bring him back into the show, Cambria Sturgis, NCAA champ, turns pro. Quickly made that turn. Two-time NCAA champion sprinter, Cambria Sturgis, announced that she will be pursuing a professional track and field career with Adidas. This is courtesy of HBCU Game Day. Quickly, I want to get both of y'all's thoughts on this. Let me stick with you, Mike. Turning pro, and this is in the middle of name, image, and likeness. May not have a lot of social media platform out there, so if you can turn pro, you can get the bag. Might as well do it. What are your thoughts on terms of this move?
Number one, I support it. I think she's got the ability to. I want to see who her support base is from a business standpoint to make sure she's marketing herself and getting her name, brand, her image out, because she definitely has a very unique image that she can market off of. So I don't know what kind of advice she's gotten, but I think, especially with this new NIL ruling, I think sky's the limit for her personally. So I would vote for her to be the new Flojo role, but that's just me. So that's a possible candidate in the new Flojo movie coming out in about a year or two. So
I like that. He got acting in there, run and that's great. We had her on the show, and certainly she was very exciting to speak with. So, Charles, in terms of your thoughts on this, as we allude into it, obviously a hurt for North Carolina A&T, but we don't begrudge anybody taking the opportunity to take the next steps. And Coach did a great job of preparing her and taking her from that first spot. And so now she has a chance to do it. The son at this point says he's not going. But what are your thoughts in terms of Cambria Sturgis, I should say?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of her coach preparing her for this point and where she is within her career. And now this is the natural next step. So you strike while the iron's hot. She will be pursuing professional track and field career with Adidas. So she's only going to get better from this point forward. And I think the building blocks are already in place with what she was able to do at North Carolina A&T. So it will be fun to watch Cambria moving forward professional.
No doubt about it. Well, she has a fan in myself. This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm sure a fan with you all as well, with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Stick with us. We're going into the fourth quarter. In our last interview of the show, we have none other than Coach Andre Payne coming up after this break. This is Dr. Cavil Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Stick with us for this last interview. It is going to be one to remember.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate. Are you in good hands?
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
How they play, boy, you gon' learn today. How your team they play. How they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC. And let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay. Tune into the HBCU.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Coming up with our second interview of the day, this is Coach Andre Payne, head men's basketball coach at Denmark Technical College. Wanted to come in here and ask some questions. Tough article out there in regards to your relationship with one particular player. But I know there was a retort on that article in a lot of ways, but wanted to give you a chance to express your thought. Coach, you were formerly head coach at Valley State before that. Wiley College before that, Texas College. Never heard any of these problems with any other player, but thought it was important to at least get both sides of the story. So now we have a chance to get your side of the story. Open up and tell us your perspective on this.
Okay, all right. Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me on here this evening to allow me to be able to tell you the truth. That's honestly the truth. So yesterday around about maybe 3 or 4 o'clock, I received a phone call from my former assistant who was with me at Mississippi Valley, asking me, have I read the article that was put on HBCUsports.com. And so I proceeded to read the article. And of course, I was blown away by what I was reading. You know, a young man accusing me of verbally, emotionally abuse. And the statement said that I had to run with a medicine ball in my hand for some type of punishment. And I knew exactly what he was talking about because it was like the second workout and he was late. And simple, you know, that was just the standard thing we did. You were late, you had to run with a medicine ball just to deter you from doing it again. So the year goes on. Everything's just fine. He's a walk-on. Young man's a walk-on. And so that's what I was so like surprised because, you know, a lot of coaches for a walk-on, they probably don't even get a second chance. You know, they one and done. But that's not me. I like the young man. I thought he had some great things he could bring to the team. And he eventually earned himself a starting spot. And as the article stated, he started 12 games as a walk-on. I remember the first game that he started, we were going to play University of Illinois, which is a Power 5 school. He's from Chicago. I called him into my office. I said, hey, you're going to get the start. I said, because you earned it. And I want you to be able to go and perform well in front of your folks, because I can imagine you're going to have a lot of people there. And he did decent. You know, there were a few mistakes. But other than that, from that point on, as stated, the young man started 12 games. You know, he was one of my guys that as a lead on the floor because he was a good point guard. There were several text messages that I forwarded to the gentleman who wrote the article showing that I thought very highly of him. I mean, one of the text messages, and you know, not verbatim word for word, but it says something to the fact that here's your opportunity. I plan on starting you. Work your tail off in practice this week. and be prepared to start. Another one was, hey, here's, you got the keys to the car. It's your car now. As the point guard, I expect you to be the driver and the leader. So, and I asked the reporter, where is that being discouraging? Where is that beating a young man down verbally? You know, it's not my personality. I don't do a bunch of cursing and stuff like that. That's not how I am. That's not how I was raised. So I'm very particular how I talk to young men, because I do understand the fact that you talk to them all crazy, then expect a crazy reaction. That's me in a nutshell. That's how I feel about that.
No doubt about it. Come from a very solid family. I want to let Mike jump in here and ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, Coach Payne, how you doing? And good to have you on the show today.
Great to be here, doing well.
Thanks for coming on. I know this is a sensitive but tough subject. You have 20 years of experience, and to see this, come out, how did it impact? If it did at all, impact your relationship with other players on the team, past, current, former?
Well, I can tell you this right here. I had so many former players to call me and contact me, coaches. I had a job to do today. It was hard to do the job because the phone was ringing so much. But they all saying, even some of the players that played with him, one of the players told me, said, Coach, he was a walk-on starting in front of us on scholarship. We were mad about that. What do you So it was disappointing yesterday. But hey, like you said, I've been doing this 20 years. Man, it comes with the territory. They're going to always be every now and then something that pop up, hills and mountains you got to get over. And then I look at that, as long as I know in my heart, and I know that between me and my God, that I treated that young man just fine, I'm just fine.
No doubt about it. With that, let me let Charles jump in here and ask a follow-up question.
Well, Coach, you mentioned you've been there, seen that, done that. Do you, I guess, question the motivation of what the allegation was?
I don't know exactly, because I can't speak for him. The only thing I can say is that, maybe he was disgruntled about not receiving a scholarship after I left, because the article kind of got confusing to me, because he alleged that he was as if I said that I didn't like him and he couldn't, and I didn't think he was a good player. And well, he couldn't have been talking about me because he started for me. And so therefore he didn't receive a scholarship, and we all know that's to the discretion of the new coach who's coming in, especially for a walk-on, whether he want to give him a scholarship. So I don't know, I actually, the gentleman who wrote the article, I said, let me ask you this, was that a fishing vendetta against Mississippi Valley State and I just happened to get caught in the crossfire? The key, whatever was going that had transpired 2 weeks ago concerning the softball program? I said, because I've been gone now, coming 3 years, and nobody ever said anything about me.
No doubt about it. I want to turn the page a little bit, Coach. This is a chance. We don't get you on very often because of your schedule, coaching basketball. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about Denmark Technical College. How are things going there? How's your basketball program, and what can we expect coming up this year?
Well, man, let me tell you something. I thank you for asking that question, because a lot of people don't know that HBCU JUCO and community college exist. And to my knowledge, there's about 11 of them. It is going well. I'm an HBCU guy, graduate, 5th HBCU I've worked at. I work for an outstanding president. A lot of people don't get a chance to work for a president that promotes athletics and want athletics to grow, want to grow the institution through athletics. And that's who I work for. And I answer directly to him. Enjoy it every day. I got here in October during the middle of the pandemic, made a choice to take this job. It just sounded right. And we started, when I got here, we only had men and women's basketball, and now we're starting men's and women's soccer, and with track and field cross country in the plan for not this fall, next fall. So you're talking about we're steady growing. We got a lot of renovation going on. And I'm telling you something, we the hottest thing on the East Coast. Can't nobody tell me anything different.
Tell us, for those that don't know, Denmark Technical College, where is it actually located? And do you have a role just as the head coach, or do you do some athletic directorship as well?
Man, Look here, I'm the athletic director. I'm the head coach. I'm the upward bound coordinator. I'm the box mover. I'm whatever they need me to be. You know, you ever get that little contract and at the bottom it said, and other duties assigned? Yeah. Guess what, brother? I got a lot of duties assigned. But because, like I say,
and you work for one of those presidents that's involved. He loves it.
Oh man, look here. I tell people all the time, I ain't worked this hard since Texas College since I was the AD, head coach, and physical plant director. So I love it. I love it.
Labor of love.
So again, where is Denmark Technical College located for those that don't?
It's located in Denmark, South Carolina, a little small town. We're actually next door to Voorhees College. Only a fence separates us. You're talking about we're 35 miles down the road from Claflin and South Carolina State. We're an hour away from Payne College, and we're about 45 minutes to an hour from Benedict and Allen University. So I like to say we sit right here in Mecca of HBCU.
No doubt about it. Love that, Coach. Last thing for you, just your final thoughts of anything that's going on now, or anything that we didn't ask you, anything that you want to share. Take it in whatever direction you wish, Coach Payne.
Well, you know, first of all, thank you once again for giving me this opportunity, you know, to come on here and, like I said, just tell the truth. I don't have nothing to hide, because I always say when you tell a lie, you got to keep on trying to keep up with that lie. I don't like to do that. I believe in treating these young men and young women the way they're supposed to be treated. Now, every time they're not going to agree with what you say and do. That's life, you know. And I believe in running a stellar program and not cutting corners. The one thing that I would like to tell you all that, you know, I love this game of basketball, and I believe that the good Lord gave me this talent to coach, because I was just a decent player. I wasn't great at playing. I was just decent. So he gave me this talent to coach.
That's
make it one.
We're gonna have to Coach,
you know,
Coach Pettaway, let him tell you a little bit of that. Coach Pettaway,
hey,
Hall of Fame.
And I always say when I meet my maker, he's not gonna ask me how many ball games I won, because you know that might not be satisfying there. But he's gonna want to know how I treated his children, and so that's what I take pride in. And so when my name got thrown through the mud like that, I said got a little mud on it, but hey, life goes on. I don't lose any sleep. I'm just fine. I'm just fine, and with the blessing of the Lord, I'm gonna keep on trucking.
No doubt about it. Well, thank you for your time, Coach. Certainly, this is the platform where you get a chance to provide your perspective. As we get into coaches, we ask a little bit of everything here, and we have the time to go a little depth instead of just getting one liner here and there. So appreciate you.
Yes.
The historical relationship we've had over the years in regards to watching your growth, your ups and downs in terms of your programs, and proud of the work that you've done in terms of working with both young men and women for that perspective at HBCU. So continue the great work. Look forward to hearing from you and following you at Denmark Technical College this season and giving some insight on some of those HBCUs at the junior college level. So now we have a plug. So we're going to count on you. We're going to need that information, though.
Hey, y'all, you know I will. You know I ain't going to let you remember, because I ain't going to let that one go.
No doubt about it. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're up at the end of the game, closing out our fourth quarter here. So we'll do it for us today. You just listened with our interview with Coach Payne, the head men's basketball coach at Denmark Technical College, as well as the athletic director and all other duties assigned. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, from inside the HBCU Lab, College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoyed our guests from the show. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday right here at 6 o'clock. We look forward to next week as we will discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's Dr. KenyattaCavil. That's TrKenyattaCavil. Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We are on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube as well. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Mike.
Course.
Charles.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
YT Productions.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson. And you gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, boy, you gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, yeah.